Live in three, two, one. Take it away.
Hello and welcome to Glitch Point. It is another week. It's Monday, so we are starting the week with some fun in the sun. Uh,
Where's the
and
sun for you?
yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of there was rays. There was a couple of rays that
Yeah,
peeked through the clouds today.
true.
So yeah, I don't know. I've had a really interesting week. I played Fortnite for the first time ever.
Oh boy, I can't
You
believe it
know,
took you this long.
Well, I think I was doing it out of a protest because I just kind of it soured me that Epic stole it from PUBG, and I feel like they deserved all the credit, because they popular even though battle royales were around, but they made it popular, and then they just got it just pissed me off.
True.
So
I totally forgot that we used to play a good amount of PUBG back in DigiPen.
to be honest, dude, I think PUBG's a better game.
I
I
agree.
played Fortnite. It's too short. Everything is. It's you know what it is. It's like they reduced everything down to its simplest form.
Well, you could
And it's
argue
like,
that's like good, but
is it
I
though?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's the building. Like that's my main issue. Like there's everything else about Fortnite, it's like whatever, but the building is just what really
Yeah.
makes me not want to play it anymore. I used to play it a good amount back when it was gaining popularity.
I mean, I think the building's actually the unique aspect to it that makes it fun. But I really don't like how short the rounds are. Like it makes it feel not as special. Like I remember, when we were playing PUBG, you'd get to the last round. It took for a while to get there, and then it was a significant moment. Like you'd have significant moments in those last few minutes. I don't even feel that way, and when
See,
I'm
I
playing,
should boot it up again because I like I said I haven't played it since it was starting to gain popularity, and it was like back before. I haven't played since they had the whole season two, and since then they've added like a bajillion fucking things. So I don't know how because it didn't take it. Rounds were not that short when I remember. I mean, if you dropped in the hot zones and you died instantly, just like PUBG, but it was similar game time to PUBG in my opinion. But I'm not surprised that they shortened that because
I
it's
don't
a
know if they
wider
shortened it,
audience
but
now.
I mean, I can't even remember, but I just remember it being longer rounds with PUBG or just more significance. I don't know what it was. Like, it just felt like there was more significance to it. Um, and also it just feels like everything on the under the sun, they ripped off. And that's
Ripped
just,
off
but
or just put in the game? Like, what do you mean?
well, meaning that other people, I mean, other than the building aspect, I suppose, but then it's just like, oh, well, put in the game. Fine. Put in the game. But I don't know. I just feel like other people deserve the credit.
Yeah, I think that's what killed. I think what really just killed PUBG was it's not as approachable. Like Fortnite's cartoonic. Fortnite is on every fucking device known to man, and it runs way better than PUBG. Like
Well, yeah, but that's just
and that's
because
what
they're not.
sucks.
I mean, they're not Epic. They're a small
It's
company
to the
that's
point where
trying.
you're not epic, and epic is epic. I don't know.
Yeah,
I understand. I liked PUBG, still do.
I
Don't
wish
play
people
it,
would
but
be a little bit more thoughtful with their choices, like, and I don't know. I mean, because these are companies that we're talking about. These are people, and like, especially when a small amount of people create something amazing, you gotta back them. I mean, because that's your vote. Like, I don't think people really understand that their purchases in life are their votes for how they want the world to be.
yeah, we've talked about this before. You got to vote with your wallet, and like
Vote with your
people,
wallet.
you do vote with your wallet. Like it's not even you have to. Everyone does, and people don't realize that, or they do, and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Like
I think
maybe
most
they,
people give a
yeah,
fuck.
they don't.
But I mean, it's very much the similar reason why a lot of us stopped torrenting games because we were kids when we were doing it, and it was sounded like a fun idea. It was kind of putting it to the man. But once you realized you were the man and you wanted to be the man, you're like,
You were
well,
the man.
shit. Maybe I should stop screwing over the future that I'm trying to create.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like,
And yeah. So,
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it was a little. I mean, it's a good game. It's good, but it is very much. It feels very McDonald'sy, and I refuse to
Such a good
buy.
answer.
I refuse to fucking put any money into it.
Oh, me too. I've never given them money.
Yeah, and it's like they don't give me anything. Like they have a monthly battle pass, and everyone's like, "Oh
Yep.
yeah, get the battle pass. You'll get all these cool stuff, and you get." I'm like, why do I care about aesthetics? The game plays the freaking same.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
get this world that we live
it's
in. I just
literally It's a playground thing, dude. Like, what thing do you have on the playground? Are you the cool kid or the poor kid who doesn't have the battle pass? It was just, I mean,
I want to be the poor kid.
yeah, I guess I'm the poor kid, but I don't know. I mean, that's what a lot of we've talked like. That's what a lot of tech has always been. Like back with the Sega Genesis versus the Super Nintendo, it's like, oh, which one did you have, and who's the cooler kid at the moment in time? And then we talked about how iPhones, make you feel poor if you don't have one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I
Now it's
suppose, but
Fortnite.
it is a lot of the microtransactions people see the result of this, but it's like Epic gets away with it.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
just
I
don't know how
think
you could spend overhead like people that right now, especially during the pandemic, people that don't even have jobs or are asking the government and they're paying probably for their fucking battle passes, even though the government's paying for that.
yeah, it's strange. Um, I'm trying to. I mean, the last game that I could think of that had this widespread popularity was Minecraft, but and I mean they did have microtransactions
Not really
eventually.
though, because and yeah, but I mean it was more that's after Microsoft took over, right?
Yeah,
Because
which I mean,
it's
once Microsoft took over is when it really became like, rather than just popular in the gaming community, it became like pop culture everywhere. Which is like what Fortnite is. Like, if you don't play games, you know what Fortnite is at this point.
But I disagree though, because I think that the original Minecraft before, when it was Java based, it was pretty large. It was growing at a fairly quick rate. And honestly, I think before Microsoft took it over, it still had quite a big I think most people would have known what Minecraft is.
Yeah, I used my mom as the litmus test for this. I don't think she knew what Minecraft was until Microsoft bought it and it became kind of bigger. But she definitely knows what Fortnite is at this point.
Yeah, it's a
I
stupid
don't know.
floss. Every the,
Yeah, oh
the
god,
floss did it.
flossing. That's came and it's went, and let's hope it never comes back.
It did it, man. It like shot them up to
I
the.
think it died when Ninja tried to floss on New Year's.
Oh yeah.
I think that I think everyone sat there and went, "What the fuck are we doing?"
Yeah. Well, you got to have something to
Yeah.
make you famous.
Well, I did not play Fortnite this week, but what I did do was fucking lug a CRT up 3 flights of stairs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
That's
good
what you said.
God, it was heavy. Like I went there. I went to pick it up from the guy, which he sold it on offer up for $1, but he did not ask me for the dollar. So free TV. I dropped it with my bud Ray when we were walking out. We didn't see this one stair. We totally dropped it. But those things are built like tanks. We didn't drop it on the screen, so I was like, it's fine. Barely fit in my little hatchback car. I was a little scared it wouldn't fit because it's like a 36-incher Sony
Yeah.
Triniton. And man, it was just a lot bigger than you think. And then getting it up those stairs to my dumb apartment. Oh my God. But in the end, it worked. And my God, it is so worth. Well, I paid nothing for it, but it
The
was worth all the
fidelity.
effort.
No.
It's so high quality. No, but I mean, it felt good to play on the CRT again. I mean, it definitely brings you back to a different, simpler
Oh yeah, this is
time.
a good
But
this is a good TV. I remember this TV, the Trinitons.
oh
I
yeah,
remember that
they're high
logo.
quality. Like a lot of people seek them out for retro gaming.
Yeah, the
Not
logo.
this exact model,
Yeah.
but
And then it was like,
um,
what was the Vision one? Had similar logo.
oh, I can't
Was it Vision
remember.
Sonic or no? That was ViewSonic. Was sorry, that was a
Oh yeah,
monitors.
that's a monitor.
Yeah,
Hmm.
never mind.
Okay.
Think
Um,
thinking of
But
ViewSonic.
the first thing I did was I booted up Battletoads on the NES because I hadn't played my NES in a while because my stupid little converter for it to go to an LCD broke, and I just didn't want to spend money to get a new one because those things are kind of crappy. And the first, I did definitely notice input, like the input lag was not there. Like it was weird. I mean, again, input lag on LCDs is so minimal, you really don't notice it. And after 20 minutes of playing a game, you just adjust to it, and then your brain's like, "Yep, we're playing this way now." And I noticed because after Battletoads, I booted up Super Mario, which I had beaten on the NES, and that was one of the first games I bought I beat when I got my NES. And I mean, that game's not as easy as like future Mario games. Like the first one is pretty rough, but I mean, it's an NES game, so they're all pretty rough. But I beat it on an LCD, and I was pretty damn good at that game. But when I booted it up on this, I was making jumps early everywhere. Like constantly I was like I'm missing things by pixels, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like it feels like I'm shit at this game now. And I think it's just that very minimal time. I had gotten so used to having to press the button right before I wanted to do something that now that
Yeah.
it wasn't there, my brain was just like, dude, we're fucking up. And then eventually I played it more and I got used to it. And then I noticed because since they don't have refresh rates like LCDs, the Battletoads was a great example. And when you come over, I gotta show you because it's just like it's weird to see with your eyes after not playing on a CRT in a long time. Because with LCDs, we rely on the brain to just fill in the gap. So you put like a moving ball across the screen, you just kind of put
Even
it, you
now
skip it
though.
over. Yeah, because I mean, they only write like you only see 60 frames on a 60 hertz. 120 is even
Huh.
better; it's smoother.
Yeah.
But
Well,
like
that's what
it
I'm
just
saying. Like,
doesn't.
yeah, I've been spoiled with 120 for a while now. So.
True. So actually, yeah, I'm very curious. Maybe you won't notice as much, but on the turbo tunnel in Battletoads, the very last checkpoint where it's like damn near impossible. Um, it was moving like they just the screen moves so damn fast, and the only time I've played Battletoads really was on the Rare Replay, which is through the Xbox One. Um, and the same thing kind of happened with the Mario thing. I beat Turbo Tunnel on that game, and I got really good at beating it. And then when I did on the NES, I was getting shit. Uh oh, Cody. I think we've lost
Spencer,
Cody. Oh,
Spencer, what happened?
am I here?
You are. We're both here.
Okay.
We
I don't know.
exist.
I don't know what just happened. I think Skype dropped the call
Oh,
for a minute.
did it? Okay,
I
weird.
was getting like
Uh,
beeps.
beeps and boops. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the recording picked up, but we'll just start from there. I was just gonna say that it's super fast for because it's just as fast as electricity could run,
Yeah, and it
right? I
was
mean,
just
because like the electricity is changing the magnets that's then pulling the electrons that it's firing at the screen.
yeah, like
Hey,
it's literally the
get
speed
out
of
of here.
light. Like it's going as fast as fucking possible, and you just notice it a lot with that turbo tunnel because they move the screen so fast. And I need to boot up the Rare Replay to see it again, but like I watched the screen move horizontally, blazing fast, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this looks really weird. Like it was like the soap opera effect on a TV when you're running like live TV, but you're not running like you're running at like 60 frames. It just looked too smooth, and it was
Yeah.
really really weird. And the turbo tunnel was easier without input lag. I'll give you that was amazing. Um, which yeah, it was weird. You got to see it, but I'm definitely glad I got it, and it's
Yeah.
definitely
See.
making playing certain retro games easier because of that
Yeah,
input
that's good.
lag.
Are you're showing all the signs of a speedrunner? Is this something that
Oh
you're
man,
you're gonna do?
uh,
I don't know. You
I've
seem
never
like you're
been
moving in that
into it.
direction.
Like I've
You
never
know,
watched Games Done Quick. Is that what it's called?
games done quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never watched it, and I mean, watching clips of speedruns is really fun, but maybe
I
at
don't know.
some point. I mean, I love Sonic because of how fluid that game gets when you get really good at it, and that's why I love the first Mario Brothers. Is like when you do get those pixel perfect jumps in the sprint jumps, like that game becomes so fun.
Yeah, that's all. These all are words of
Of a future
speedrunner, man. You
speedrunner,
sound like a
I don't know.
speedrunner.
Oh boy, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean, you
I'll
got the
get to that
old. You're
point.
getting the old gear. You're getting you just sound like you're gonna pick a game. Like you just have to settle on a game, and you're gonna keep playing that game over and over again until you get the best time.
Maybe I've got too many. Like my backlog's too big to do that. Like I'll feel guilty if I'm just playing one game that I've already beat over and over again.
I think the whole thing about it is it's relaxing. It's like, yeah. I mean, I've never done it, but I
That's
mean
fair.
that's probably what it feels like because it's more just about like being a part of the community, not necessarily playing the game. Although playing the game is great, but like you are like that guy that YouTuber I showed you, and like you get to kind of hack the game and like try to figure out and talk to other people who are trying to hack the same game and figuring out new exploits. And I mean I actually do watch a lot of speedrunning, and that's my favorite part about it is it aligns itself fairly heavily with the technical side of things, not just watching somebody play a game, because it comes down to how are they breaking the game, how are they doing buffer overloads or whatever, and like
Yeah.
you can get into really technical areas, and it's still part of gaming, and so it's kind of insane to watch this. And then just also the skill sets of these players are really fun, and they always talk about it, like, when they're talking about it on Games Done Quick, it's always about the community. They're shouting out to the community, they're asking people to join the community. So it's like you pick a game and then you invest in that community. So it's like, it's kind of,
Yeah.
I think that's more what it's about for those runners, but I'm not a runner, so I have no idea. But
I might get more involved with watching, because yeah, that the technical aspect of learning how the game works behind the scenes to like manipulate and abuse it, that sounds really fun. But the idea of just beating a game or just playing a game over and over again to master, although the relaxing part of it, I can see because one of the thing like the big thing with NES games and I guess Super Nintendo too was like they were designed in a way where the only way to beat the game was to get absolutely perfect at the beginning of the game so that way you could save all your lives or whatever for the end game where it's harder. And when you're like with Mario Brothers, it was so relaxing to start a new run because the first 2 or 3 worlds, I'm just like, yep, know exactly what I'm doing, and I can just breeze through them. So I could see that.
well, I
Maybe I'll
would
do
put
it.
this I would put this under the same vein as mastering a really difficult song, or like
Yeah.
on guitar or on an instrument.
Oh
It's a very
yeah.
similar aspect. One would say, "Oh, but that's not relaxing. That's like really stressful." But when you get it and you can play it fluidly, it becomes relaxing. It's like because your mind is occupied, yet you're enjoying the moment of doing it. I, it's like,
No, 100%. I think that I experienced that with Rock Band. Like I played a
yeah,
shitload of Rock Band and it's to the point where like yeah, most songs are not difficult anymore and like to someone who doesn't play, they look at an expert mode and they're like, "What the fuck? How is this relaxing?" And you're just like it's just you're just brains on auto mode. It's
well, you
not
try to
thinking
stay in
about
the zone,
anything.
right? It's like all about the
Yeah.
zone, and like when you're in the
Oh, the
zone,
zone.
it's super relaxing. Like the zone is like it just feels great.
Have you seen Soul, the new Pixar movie?
No, but I want to see it.
Dude, you
I'm
should because one of the parts of that movie is like it's all about your soul and inner thing. But there's a place called the zone where people go, like their souls go when they're in the zone at something that they love, and
Yeah,
it's really cool idea. And I just like sat there
that's
and you
awesome.
think about getting into the zone, and you're like, it opens your eyes of like the zone is where you want to be, man,
All the time. I mean,
all
that's
the
literally,
time.
what you should be doing for work or whatever you do for joy, work or anything. You should be in the zone.
Yeah, in the
Like
zone for programming is so like it's another level.
I don't know, I know. It's like all of a sudden it's like 4 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah. um, but yeah, no, I think it's really good. The other thing I was gonna say is, I highly recommend it for while you're programming or while you're doing your work, because it's really easy. What I used to do is I love really long runs. Like there's a couple Final Fantasies that I watched. Like Final Fantasy 9 is a really good one. It's like an 8 hour run. But I don't pay attention to it. It's just running there in the corner of my screen, and then every so often you just look at it, and it only works if you've played the game all the way through. If you know the
Mhm.
game and you've played it through, it's super enjoyable because you don't have to pay attention to it, but yet it's almost like you get to like look at it and it's there. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's
I mean,
it's
yeah,
uh
I agree.
it's
There are
nice.
certain things like that that I can do.
I love it. And it comes out like, it's twice a year and it's like a great week because you get all these new games you can look at, and like there's really fun ones that you want to pay attention to, and then there's ones that you just like kind of half pay attention to while you're working, and like it's just the complete gamut. Like some of the runs, or the races, like they do the Mario races, and those are always just so much fun to watch.
Oh
uh
yeah.
because it's just there's a tight knit community around the Mario runners, and they're usually the more entertaining side of, because there can be a really dry people in this community.
Yeah, there always is.
Yeah, so there's you're like, oh man, you're like the worst. But it's still fun to watch the game, but some of them don't have personalities, and they're usually like the guys at like 4 in the morning
Yep.
that they
That's a
throw
good
out.
Mario
Yeah,
Kart is a good example. That's another one where it's like after a while the game is just a relaxing like yeah, I can get first every time, but it's the relaxing part of landing every drift, every curve, every trick and it's just nice.
yeah, yeah. There you go, man. You're on your way to becoming the next big runner.
Oh god, maybe,
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel
maybe.
like how old are the average runner? Is it like
Uh,
MLG?
no, it's all over the place. No,
Okay,
there's
because like with
no.
MLG, it's like if people like hit age 25 and people are like, I got to get out of the MLG game. I just can't like my reaction time just ain't like it is with the kids, you know?
It's not really about reaction time though. It's
That's
it's more
good.
about brute force and like just route memorization. But then what it comes down to is exploits. It's like
True. Yeah.
there'll be all these. It's I think what makes it interesting is there's choices as you're doing the run. So often there's going to be tricks that have a less percent chance of you landing them, either because they're really hard or there's randomness involved. So you have to like say, okay, well, if I want to get a world record and I'm here at this point in time, and this is where my run is at this point in time, should I go for this or not? I'm not going to make the world
Mm,
record if I don't go for this. So then you go for the harder trick, and if you land it, then it puts you back onto pace
yeah.
for world record pace. So I think it's like the modularity of the runs. They change as you go because you want to, obviously, if you're doing it perfect, then you don't need to take all the risky strats, is what they call risky strats. So
Yeah. No, this. I think I might get into at least watching speedrunning.
yeah, well, it just
This sounds very
happened.
exciting.
It happens in December, or no, sorry, January. So it just happened for AGDQ, and then SGDQ happens over the summer. I think it's in like June or something.
Huh.
Yeah,
So
definitely recommend it.
do they play on like with the retro games? Are they playing on like CRTs or do they just emulate?
Yeah, it just depends. It's up to I don't. They definitely don't emulate. It's all on
Okay, that makes sense.
original hardware because unless I mean, I suppose it's whatever situation it is, but it's all these have different categories and there's different rules for all of them. It all has to do with like speedrunning times.com and like how they categorize, because so like each game has a bunch of different categories. So I
Yeah.
don't I
Okay.
don't know if that would have to actually, there's no emulation per se. Usually it's original hardware.
That makes
But
sense. Like it just once I just really started playing the games on the CRT again, like again, like when you play a lot of games, even the smallest amount of lag you're gonna feel, and like especially when you've played bit like thousands of hours of games, and it's just kind of crazy that we are even with like emulating a game since you're running on an LCD. Like designers back in the day knew you were playing on a CRT, so they sat there with the controller and designed the game around the CRT feel. And Rare
yeah,
was notorious, especially with Battletoads and Donkey Kong Country, with the fucking rail levels of they played it and they designed it until they could barely fucking beat it, which is pixel perfect stuff. And when you go back, it seems harder because you're playing it on an emulator or you're converting it. But if you go back, it's not that it's easier, but like it seems a little more fair.
fluid.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, especially holy crap! Like yeah, we got to boot up the turbo tunnel. It was awesome, but but we're kind of losing that. Like since we've changed technology so significantly,
I
especially
don't know,
like
with
with those
120
speedruns.
hertz and 144 hertz and 100 and fuck, they're all the way up to like 200 and
True.
something
If well,
refresh rate.
it's not even the refresh rate. I mean, yes, the
Well,
refresh
it's
rate
how
is
much they
one
can
part
pump
of
out,
it,
but yeah.
but it's the fact that they're never going to get zero input lag because it's a digital display. Like because it's digital, there's got to be some conversion. So there's got to be a split second of time
Well,
that you're
the
saying
problem is
change the
is
pixel.
lies in Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a janky ass protocol.
Oh yeah, controller. That's even more lag. Just piling lag on top of
Well, it's just
lag.
they it seems like they're barely, like they slowly update Bluetooth, and it just, I don't know. It needs to be updated heavily to deal with what's going on today and like how much information is being passed through it. Um, I know there was an update, and again, maybe there was. I'd have to look it up. I haven't done the research on this for a while, so I don't
Yeah,
know
and
the
I need
deets,
to
but I
read more
remember.
into the Series X controller because Xbox did something with a low latency like oh god, what's the waves? I don't low latency Bluetooth we'll call it, but it's not what it is. And it's something to do with the controller can adjust the way it's updating and the refresh rate of the controller to match the game or something to
Oh,
get
cool.
even better latency, which I don't know. Sometimes you can feel it, and I hate it because the series, the Elite Two, does not have this technology. So I love my
Oh,
Elite
really?
Two, yeah, like because it's brand new to that controller. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it sucks that the time. I'm glad the controller works. That's with the new control like
Interesting.
console,
I've been
but
using the Elite 2. I haven't really noticed much, but yeah, I'll
yeah,
take a
it's
look
not
at it.
significant. And again, it's like okay, we've got the LCD refresh, and then we've got it's still Bluetooth. It's not wired, so like it's I don't know if it's going to be that it's definitely not as drastic as going back to CRT with the wired controller. Um,
Yeah.
but something else I was going to say, I totally forgot. I don't know. Maybe the controller feels better. Try it out.
Well, yeah, yeah, I will. I haven't really noticed much, but That's crazy. I'll have to look it up because I love all that technical stuff, especially with the new consoles and what they can do. Because it's pretty impressive, how far we've come with a lot of this stuff. There's actually even so I just calibrated my TV, and you can allow the Xbox Series X to calibrate your TV for you.
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that. That's
It's
really
that's
cool.
I was like that's I don't know when I found that out. I think it was when I bought my 4K TV. And yeah, you just sit there. Oh, there's I don't know if it can automatically do it. Is that what you're saying?
It automatically does it.
Oh
So
fuck.
it
Okay.
you have to tell the TV to allow the Xbox to have control, and then it will automatic. You can do a setup through the Xbox, and it will automatically tune your levels to look. I think it's just with oh, what is this stupid DVR
HDR.
HDR.
Yeah.
D-
Oh, okay.
HDR. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just the HDR settings, but I'm not sure.
Okay, because I don't know about when because there's a menu that's like calibrate my TV where it'll go through every aspect of
That's
color and
that's what
it'll
it was.
change.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know
So
if
it
mine
like
did that automatically, but I manually did it.
oh no. Well, you go through each one of those options. You go yeah. Well, you manually do it, but what I'm saying is that you
Oh,
use that
okay.
data to
Yeah.
tell your TV how to look.
Oh my God, it
Yeah,
night and day. Like
huge
people,
difference.
again, it's like you just LCDs need that. Every time you buy a new TV, they none of them look the exact same because every panel's calibrated slightly differently. You've got to do these settings. It will change the way. And I remember because when I bought my first 4K TV, I definitely got like a cheaper brand, a Scepter brand. And I booted up Doom 2016 on it. And I was on the Mars level, which is super fucking red. It's like a red filter over the whole thing. And it looked pink. Like my TV looked like complete shit, and I'm like, wow, I fucking wasted money. I got to return the TV. And I looked into it, and I finally found those settings, and I was able to like go through and I just listened to whatever Xbox told me to do, and the entire TV changed.
Yeah, no, and they have
Unbelievable.
recommended settings that are like, like I had on some of them set way high because I was like, oh, sharpness, I want that, and they're like, nope, put sharpness at 0,
Yep.
and I was
They're
like,
like, fuck
oh,
off.
okay, because they're like, that'll just mess with what we're trying to do here.
Yep, it definitely. And God, fuck Samsung. I don't know if other TVs do this, but so I bought a QLED display, and we've been
Yeah.
talking about latency on TVs and LCDs, and that's why game mode exists, because game mode just tells the TV don't do all of these pre-processes. Just go as fast as you can to get the TV up there, so that you have as little input lag as possible, and it works. And a lot of TVs will do this automatically, and there's an option for it. But Samsung is a little bastard and hid this thing what they call Game Motion Plus, and it's dug so deep in your settings, and you think it's not going to do anything because you're like, well, game mode's cool, so the plus must be. And what Game Mode Plus does is it does this thing where it tries to go harder, like it tries to reduce judder. I think is what they were saying with your game to make
Jitter,
it look smooth. You think
jitter,
jitter? They said judder.
Jitter.
Swear to God, it said judder, whatever the fuck that means. And it's defaulted at like the maximum. It's like do as much as you can.
We don't like Jitter.
No, and I didn't know what it was when I like got my TV, so I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll leave it. And I'm playing Skyrim and Destiny, or I was playing Destiny, and I noticed that like when I was running around the world after a little bit, sometimes when I like move the camera really fast, the UI would have ghosting. And I thought it was I thought it was a Destiny issue, and I was like, man, they should get on that. And then I played Skyrim a month later because I didn't notice it with other games, and I played Skyrim a month later, and it was doing the same thing. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. That's got to be me. So I dug so deep into Reddit to try to like I didn't know the words to use to describe this problem, and
And
I
Jitter
find
didn't exist.
no, I'm just like sitting there like, how do I Google this? Like, it was such a pain. And then finally, some random Reddit users like, no, dude, just turn off Game Motion Plus. It'll fix everything. And I'm like, all right. And I finally did it. Games ran like everything got fixed. The UI thing probably went away, and
Yeah.
the games just felt way smoother again. And I'm like, this bullshit. There's so many people out there playing games on a QLED or just a TV that they haven't adjusted the color. They have all this crap on there, and they're just like having the time of their lives. They don't
Well,
even know.
I think that there's those people. I mean, the first thing I
Ignorance is
did
bliss.
was when I got my new TV was go through the settings and like
Yep.
read everything and like
Every
try to
time.
figure. Yeah, I mean, it just because there's so many options. I mean, but it's even more tricky than that. I watched a video recently, which was the one that told me to use the Xbox to tune the HDR, but They also there's a way to set my TV to have Chroma 444 instead of Chroma 422.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just random. It's like so you have to instead of having it on game mode, you have to set it to PC mode, and then you have to do all this other stuff that's like not intuitive at all. And
No.
then that allows you to have full chroma, which it's like fine, whatever. Probably wouldn't have noticed anyways, but it's just like it's why is it this difficult?
I
Or why is
it,
this obtuse? It's more like it's not this difficult, it's just obtuse sometimes. It's like without like researching and reading and like watching videos, there's no effing way you'd know.
no, there isn't, and that's why something that I really like respected with when I got my CRT was of like it doesn't. It's fucking impossible to do any of that shit. It's really just like, no, I'm just gonna shine a light at that fucking angle, and that's what you're gonna get. There's nothing
Yeah.
else I'm gonna do, and I mean, that's what the digital is. It's like all this stuff in the background. Every pixel has to process a little bit of info to get it up there, and it's just like, I mean, it looks phenomenal. OLED's like
Well,
look great. It's just
I
like,
think
yeah,
a
you're
lot
right.
of
It's
it
so
comes down
obtuse.
to like competing technologies, and like so right now there's just so many technologies that are, you got Dolby
Ugh,
Visions, you
I
got
know.
so like there's only so much bandwidth.
Yeah,
So there's only so much
seriously.
stuff that can be sent over the wire at one point in time. And so it really comes to like I was finding like, yo, you turn this on, it turns this off automatically, and like all these things that and I think that obviously back when it was just a cathode ray tube, I mean that's a lot, there's nothing, right? It's just one device.
Yeah, you just
it
go.
it's just a thing, right? It doesn't have any, there's no processing.
No, and that's why like I'm looking at some of the games I was while playing. I think I was playing Conqueror's Bad Fur Day, and it was like the colors looked phenomenal on the CRT. Like the blacks were super black because it's just like it really really good looking, and it does make you question. And when I was doing the research and watching videos on people who play modern games on a CRT, that are mostly like RGB modded, so it looks even better. But like, there is an argument for specifically gaming should have stayed on CRTs, but yeah, they're just fucking bulky as shit. Like, if there was a way to do what a CRT does in a flat panel, which like,
I think we're a
don't
lot
think
better.
that's possible. Oh
We're
my
a lot
god, it
better.
would be cool.
We're so much better with these smaller devices, and like
Oh
it's
yeah, with
just
smaller devices, there's like absolutely like there's
I
no
don't.
way we couldn't have done an LCD without technology, but
And you know what? It's really imperceptive. Like we complain and stuff, but it's so imperceptive on, especially when you get to higher refresh rates, and even if you're a pro gamer, like I just
yeah,
don't think you're going to notice the input lag. And like they even have mice that are
Mies.
Mises that are wireless that are claiming to have no input lag. So I mean, like I think that we've come a long way. I the other thing is like I even got an HDMI caster. I don't know what you'd call it, but
Cast. What?
not a cat. But like basically, it was just sending an HDMI signal to. So because this is when I used to have the gaming console across the room, so I didn't want to
Oh, like
wire
just a
across the
wireless
room.
HDMI.
Yeah, caster. I don't know what you
Oh
call it.
fucking! I would just I just call it a wireless HDMI.
Wireless HDMI, whatever. Transmitter. That's great.
Sure.
Uh, okay, so yeah, so it's transmitting the wireless signal. So you think that yeah, there were a lot of ones that I tried that did have latency, but I found one and it almost didn't feel like it had very much latency at all. And I'm like, to send the entire image over, that's a lot of data.
Yeah. Well, I
So
think that there's a like there's a amount of input. There's amount of lag that your brain can adjust to really easily that you're never gonna notice. And it's not that you don't notice it. It's just like if you play it enough, your brain will adjust and it'll just be like, yeah, we need to just microseconds delay whatever you're trying to do, and then you just don't notice it after a while because you're like assuming that that's there, and it's not until you see the other side of it that you're like, oh, this is weird.
yeah, but I think the question all comes down to competitive play, right? I mean, that's
Oh
that's
yeah.
where is there really an advantage when you hit these higher refresh rates and lower input lags to a certain point? I mean, we're talking like less than a millisecond now, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean, there's especially with pro gaming, you can try your best. Like, yeah, I have the Basilisk mouse or whatever, and it claims to have super low latency or none at all, whatever the heck. But at the end of the day, when you're getting on the pro level, it's wired everything as much as possible. Like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't risk it because it is. It's like just microseconds, but your brain is so high definition that you can feel it.
Yeah, it's the zone.
First, yeah, you get in the zone, man.
You get in the zone and then it's lagged. What the fuck?
Yeah, first world
um,
problems.
so I actually have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
No, not a bad one.
That's good.
Just earlier that I think I had made a comment about, they should just dump all of Microsoft's games onto the console, and I finally found the little tab in the store for backwards compatible games.
Nice.
And I was blown away. I was like, of course there were mostly 360 games. There weren't
Yeah.
very many original Xbox games, which is somewhat disappointing. But
Yeah.
I was surprised how many games there were that I was like, oh my god, I remember this, and I went and downloaded a bunch of them. Although
Yeah.
they should all be free and they should all be on cloud streaming or whatever. But that being said, it's still really neat that they exist, and it's kind of cool that they're holding on to all this backwards compatibility. Um, on the hardware.
Yeah, and I'm
Or
glad that
on the
they've
software.
they set themselves up to where they won't lose it. I mean, I don't know if lose is the right word, but like the way they've built their backwards compatibility into their ecosystem, it's like moving forward, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to play original Xbox games on whatever Xbox platform and whatever that means in the future. You should just
Yeah.
always move forward on digital only. Like, yeah, the Series S can't play Xbox discs, but the Series X can. So
Well, I mean, we're heading more cloud. I mean, Windows X. Did you see all that stuff?
I did a little bit. I mean, I've seen a lot of rumors about what the UI could look like, and
Well,
I'm
it's supposed to
getting
be more like Chromebook. That's what everyone's
yeah,
saying. That's the articles that I was reading. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of cool that now we're getting an operating system that we're going to be interacting through the cloud. It's or
yeah, it's
server
cool. I mean,
based.
I don't know if I would want to be like or a Chromebook. Those things are awful, but hopefully Microsoft does a better job with it.
Well, as long as you have, I mean, the problem with the Chrome, I have never used a Chromebook, but it seems that it's very based towards just web surfing, where it's not going to have heavy applications. But
Yeah,
maybe
like it just doesn't because it runs all applications need to be on the Chrome store or whatever. But so it's limited, but even that it just doesn't run that well. I don't know, but I guess Microsoft could do it better. I think the Chromebooks like really the only market is education. You know,
yeah.
like
Well,
that's
as
the only
long as you
viable
can
market.
run every application that you can run on Windows, then I'm fine. I don't care what the interface is.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, I would like to have a non-mobily looking interface, which is what it looks like they're going for. And I definitely know that this is going to be all over, there are, I mean, I know they have an ARM-based operating system as well, but I'm sure that they're going to use this operating system going forward. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not, it just seems like that's going to be the way. But I could be wrong. I mean, but yeah, so I'm sure that like a lot of the Surface X's will have this. I mean, the fact that they're both called X,
yeah.
you know. So I don't
Microsoft
know.
sure loves their letter X. I don't know
Yeah,
when this happened, but good God.
yeah. It's they didn't want the Z box.
God, that sounds awful. I don't know if it sounds awful because it is awful or if we're just so used to the word X and Xbox, but
I'm sure someone was like, I wish I could be in these meetings, or just like I wish they were recorded and we could listen to them, like, when they were trying to figure out what the name should be. Like someone's like, oh, it should be like the M box for Microsoft, and they're like, no, that sounds stupid.
yeah, well, see, it's weird because yeah, like I remember reading and probably maybe like an interview with some of the original guys of like it was called the Direct Xbox for a long time because
Oh,
the whole point of it was a console that runs DirectX. Like that's the whole entire
oh,
reason this console
DirectX.
exists. But the thing is, okay, then why did we call it DirectX? So I don't know why it's called DirectX.
Is that for executable?
Fuck, maybe.
And then
Direct
it's just,
executable? I don't know. It's a
I mean, that's
graphics
not that starts
API,
with
so
E. That starts with E, but yeah,
yeah,
I don't
fuck
know.
it. So I know that, and then I think someone along the way is like, "Hey guys, Direct Xbox is fucking dumb. Drop the Direct." And then Xbox was born.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
see
how
that.
that
Okay.
happened. But where we got Direct X from, I don't know why it's called Direct X. Maybe a Google search could do it, but naming is just weird. I was watching a video on like when Spyro was getting named, and they wanted to name him Pyro, and someone was just like, some marketing dude's like, but what if we put an S in front of it, Spyro? And I'm like, why does writing an S in front of it make it so much better? Because if that game was called Pyro, it would not be as cool as Spyro. I don't know. It's just weird.
I didn't even think about it. I mean, it's so obfuscated, or however you say that word, um, that I just didn't even think that about it being pyrotechnics.
I know, me neither. Like I
I was
never
like,
was like, ah, pyro with an S. But the second that I'm like, oh shit, that's a good
yeah,
point.
that is a good point. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, now it delinks it from the criminal pursuit of, being
Yeah,
pyromaniac.
they said something like it made it friendlier or like more childish or something. I don't know, but it worked. Good for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, no, it's I'm sure, but I'm sure those meetings are really funny.
Oh, I'd love those meetings. I think, I also think that when they were trying to figure out the color of the Xbox, someone just fucking, there was the green marker in the office, like in the room meeting they were in, there was only green markers, and they were just like, well, I guess we're using green, and that's how
Really?
green. Yeah, I swear to God, I read that or listened to that somewhere, but like that's why Xbox is green is because,
I like
well,
I
yeah,
actually
I like the
really like
green,
their
and I'm
logo.
sure there's more to it because Nintendo was red, Sony was well, no, at the time Sony didn't really have much of a color.
They were black.
No, they were gray because the PS2 hadn't come out quite yet. Because the
I always
Xbox was
I always
starting development right before the
associate Sony with
PS2.
black. Like they're really
Oh, I
well.
guess
Okay,
Sony black. You're right.
no. Okay.
Sony
Well, the
was.
Sony PlayStation was kind of that orangey color. The logo. The original
Oh
on
yeah,
PlayStation was that orangey color, but it just yeah. I guess the originals. You're right. Were gray, but like maybe it's just because ever since then their consoles have been black.
yeah. I mean, since the PS2 was the first one to introduce blue and black, and that kind of just stuck forever.
Yeah, the blue and black
Now
is
they're really white, but whatever. But yeah, I guess apparently it was just because green. But I'm sure at some level they were like they second guessed it, but realized that of the primary colors, now we have RGB if we were green. So
yeah. Well, I really loved the pulsation of it. Just kind of made it feel very reptilian, almost
yeah,
like it felt like a dinosaur egg or something.
yeah. No, I do love the original Xboxes. Like, not necessarily the consoles look because it's fat as fuck, but the aesthetic of it, of like, yeah, they had that pulsating like ball of slime type of thing on the start menu, and the start audio was just so
But how
cool.
did those original controllers get past like testing?
The fat fucks. I don't.
Yeah, like no one was
Oh.
like, "Yo,
Yeah,
this is a great console, but this controller stinks."
yeah. I think it was Seamus Blackley, which is one of the original like on the hardware team. He was given a choice. They only had so much money left on that console, and it was either they could put a hardware in or a hardware. They could put a hard drive in the console or spend the money on controller development. And they were so adamant on put a fucking hard drive in it, which in
Yeah.
hindsight, best decision because eventually they fixed the controller. But yeah, I can't remember. He talked about how that controller was made, and there was just some miscommunication on like, I think they. Oh, it was he gave them the breadboard, like they made the bread or the motherboard for it or whatever. They just handed it to a designer and said, "Fit this in a controller. We don't have time to make it smaller or redesign it because we want a hard
Oh,
drive." And the
okay, that
guy's
makes
like, "Fuck, okay." And
yeah,
good God, the Duke was born.
yeah. I think it was terrible.
It's so bad.
I
Like
mean, it was
go. Ugh.
almost as bad as the Dreamcast controller, which I know you said you liked, but I always thought that
It's
was a.
not bad.
It
There's
is
there's things
bad.
I don't like about it, but I definitely would prefer a Dreamcast controller over the fucking Duke.
It was like
The problem,
and then you had the Tomigachi style.
I love
Uh,
those little things. Yeah, well, the
yeah,
VMUs.
yeah, the VMUs
I
for
love
the.
it because like you could use it to see like plays in one of the 2K
Yeah, that was
football
the
games.
only game.
I know.
What other game was there that like utilized it? And I do remember.
Sonic Adventure had Chow games on there.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I'm sure. And
'Cause
then
I do.
other games showed like Health. I think Home Alone, or no, it's not called Home Alone. That's the movie. What is it called? Oh, Alone in the Dark. I think Alone in the Dark did something with it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely was a fleeting idea. Um, but my problem with the Duke is that
Was it a fleeting
because
idea?
yeah, I think it. Well, I guess yeah, it kind of went away.
EU?
Fuck the Wii. But like the problem I have with the Duke is that going back to it, yeah, it's big, but like the way they positioned the A, B, X, Y buttons on the new controllers make it to where when I want to press the A button on a new Xbox controller, it's right where the X button is on the Duke. Like the muscle memory is the exact same location. So like you have to relearn how to play a fucking Xbox game if you use the Duke. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
But
Do you
some
still
people,
have one?
I swear to God, I had a Duke, and I haven't seen it in a year. It might
I
have
haven't
not
seen, like
made the
so
last
once
time I
the S
moved.
came out, it was like there was no other controller.
Oh yeah, night
You
and
just
day,
throw
like
those threw out your old
absolutely.
controller
I'll get a
and
Duke
move on.
eventually because I know I had one. I just don't know. I believe it was. I did not take it in my last move.
Yeah. Did you end up watching that video that I sent you on hacking the Xbox?
No, because you sent that this morning, right?
I did.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
at work. I didn't have time to watch it, but I
yeah,
want to watch it because that guy is really cool.
yeah. He's doing. I really like his videos. I mean, it's surprising. Like he goes through every single. What was the name of the guy again? It's
A modern vintage gamer, I think.
yeah, modern vintage gamer, so that people can find him. But
Yeah.
yeah, he goes through every hack and like completely explains how the progression of the hacking of these consoles. And it's amazing. It's just like it's really interesting how they go about it. It's always hardware based first, and then
Mm-hmm.
finally they go soft modding it. But it was just fun because I remember being like, you remember when these things get cracked wide open, and then you're like, they become emulator boxes.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and why this I think is interesting is because one of especially that other video, one of the things that they say is the best tour of this is just to give the community what they want, because like a big like they made an example of well, oh yeah, so the PlayStation 2 used to allow you to put Linux on it, the
Yeah.
operating. So, they had basically, they say that there's like a lot of different hacking communities and reasons why people will hack these systems. And one of the biggest one is to put Linux on it, and just to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do whatever you want with it. And when they took that option away on the PlayStation 2, it hadn't been fully hacked up to that point. But the second they took that away, it just got, as he said it just got blown wide open. Like
Yeah.
all, because everybody's like, well, fine, if you're going to take that away, we're just going to hack the crap out of it. And this actually goes back to what allowing for UWP apps on the current console, the Xbox
Mm-hmm.
Series X. And it just goes to show you like it's part of their security paradigm is making sure that people don't have a reason to hack the console.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the UWP because there's an entire community of people who, because the every Xbox One, and I think this continues onto the Series X and S, but I could be wrong, is you can put a retail unit into dev mode. It doesn't make it a dev kit because dev
That's
kits are
exactly what
different.
it is.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it puts it in a dev mode and it costs $100 to get a dev account. But once you have that, once you pay $100, you can take any app people make. So there's N60, there's all these emulators you can just put on your Xbox. Just
Yeah.
you just sideload it, and you can just play all these N64 games on your Xbox, and it's the coolest thing. And it's like, I don't know if Microsoft's ever going to crack down on it because I don't think they can.
Well, that's the whole point. Like once they crack down on it, people will find nefarious ways to do that, or evil ways to do that. And so, I mean, it's actually part of their security paradigm. And that other video that I sent you about the guy talking about the security stack for the Xbox 360, I believe it was, or Xbox One, might have been one. But anyways, he was talking about the security stack, and like one of the main things that they do is they try to make it so that people don't need to hack it anymore. And
Yeah.
a lot of this, the reason for the services, now we have Game Pass and you get all these free games. So like, another reason people will hack a console is so that they can have a wide library of games. Well, now all you have to do is pay a low price and you get that wide library of games. So it's why take the effort. And so the whole thing is, they said if it costs more than um I don't know, a certain amount of money. I can't remember the numbers, but if it costs more than a certain amount of money, let's say like $100 or $200 to hack this console, or if it's really complicated or try to figure it out, then why not just pay the money to get the service?
Yeah,
you know
and I
and,
mean
and so
with
they
with
yeah
allowing that dev account, and iOS is the same way. If you just pay Apple $100 and become an Apple developer,
I
you
don't
can
think it's even
sideload
a
any app.
bucks. It might be cheaper than
It's $100. I
that.
bought it like a year ago. Um, but I mean, I'm sure you can probably get it waived somehow if you're like a authorized developer. But for any normal day guy or girl, you have to pay $100. But I mean, they can't. unless they remove the dev mode option from a console, there's no way around it. Like they can't restrict you for what you sideload onto that console, which is awesome. And I don't think they'll ever change it. And it is awesome that if you pay this, you get emulators or other
Yeah,
apps.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, because that's kind of what people want. I mean, that's the fun of it, is just to be able to play or homebrewed stuff, or whatever you really want, making it a media. I mean, that was the biggest thing about the original Xbox, was it was an amazing media center,
yeah,
and that's why I used to soft mod them for people, and then and put all X or Microsoft Media Center or Windows
Windows
Media
Media Player.
Windows Media Center, I think it was,
Mm,
on the thing, but. Um, yeah, it was amazing because you could put all your songs and movies
yeah,
content and all that on your computer, and then run it through the server. And we when I lived with a bunch of guys when I first went to college, but that's what we did, and we just used the original Xbox, as our media center,
yeah.
and everybody had their stuff, and it was like, oh, we'll just go into your account, or your computer.
Yeah, and it's
Uh,
funny that like Xbox One got so much shit for being a entertainment media thing first. Granted, they did that first, then had gaming second, where the original Xbox was gaming first, then that second. But the original Xbox really kicked ass on being a media center. And I know the original or the Xbox One is I think the only console now that supports audio CDs. Like you can still put a CD into the Xbox One and it'll play it, or a DVD or a Blu-ray. I don't know if the Series X has a CD laser or a DVD. It has to have a DVD laser, but I don't know if it has a CD. I know the PS4 didn't have a CD one, but it's cool.
yeah,
CDs
I
are
I,
dead, but
I,
it's cool.
I haven't played, although I did buy a CD not too long ago because there's a CD in my car. And I
Oh,
was like, whatever, I'll buy it. But then it ended up like on the floor of the passenger seat, and it got all
yep,
scratched up.
yeah, as they do. Yeah, I've been considering getting a record player because I've got a couple records and I wouldn't mind having that around. But
Yes, yeah, actually, I was thinking the same thing. The only thing is you need good speakers, and then blah 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 blah.
yeah, which I really don't want to get into that. It's I can't afford it right now, but eventually I will because I do want to play the records that I have. Um, and then I want to start getting game soundtracks on record. Those are on vinyl. Those are cool.
$19
For what?
for Microsoft Partner Center.
Partner
For
center?
So it says, however, developer mode isn't entirely free to activate it on your Xbox. You have to register an individual app developer account with Microsoft Partner Center, $19 in the US.
Weird. That definitely dropped.
Individual $21. Oh, company is 100, and oh, that's yeah.
Hmm.
For an individual, it's looks like it's 21 AUD. What's AUD?
21 AUD Australian dollar? I don't know. The fuck's an AUD?
It's like 21 dingoes.
20. Oh, good god. Oh wait, it is. It's Australian dollar.
Yeah, so I think they said US. That's $19 in
Yeah,
US.
that's about. Very interesting. Well, that's cool. Even cheaper. 20 bucks for an unlimited emulator machine? Sign me up.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
emulate,
Like,
but that's still really cool.
and I'm sure they dropped
Um,
the price just for that reason. Like, is it allows people to not care about, why not just do that? That's easy.
True. I mean, yeah, you can run any app on an Xbox One, I believe. Any UWP app.
Yeah.
Um, Although, I mean, I have a gripe with the retro gaming community of like, usually you can predict when certain games or certain generations of consoles go up and down in price. It's like a game that you play. It's like stocks, honestly. You just watch it go up and down, or like when a remaster gets announced, the original game now becomes all this expensive overnight. It's so annoying. But I don't know when the hell this happened, but for a long time, original Xbox games and original Xboxes, same with PS2s, just anything in the 6th gen that wasn't a GameCube or Dreamcast was dirt. Like absolute dirt. Like a console was $5. They were just piling up in Goodwills. It was amazing. And of course, I mean, I got one around that time, but of course, now my original Xbox just like absolutely killed itself. I don't know what's wrong with it, and I'll hopefully try to fix it. But all of a sudden, they're expensive. Like you go to eBay and it's like averaging $100 for an original Xbox console.
Well,
I don't
pandemic
know.
probably. People are.
Maybe it's weird. I don't know why original Xbox, because that has been notorious for being the cheapest thing to collect for.
I mean, is
Because
there any specification? The thing that does make prices go up is when people start to mod them, or hard mod them. meaning like they do like lights on them, or like a big one was people were making um, Game Boy Pies
Yeah.
out of actual Game Boy cases, and like the community had to like
Ugh.
ask them to stop doing it and to use uh 3D printed ones. And
Yes.
so like most people do 3D printed now, but there for a long time people were cannibalizing the cases from old Game Boys, and they just like so they I don't know what Game Boys cost, but I'm sure like they went up.
Maybe
Um,
I need to do some digging on why. I need to see if the PS2 did the same. Because if the PS2 went up in price and the original Xbox, then there's something with the sixth gen. There might be some trends. I haven't been
well,
in the
it's
community
possible
for
that
more than 5 years, so there's
they're
a
breaking.
chance. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe there's some sort of flaw like in the actual materials that's something that's degrading or
True. I mean, I know there's like a period of time that every gen
Half-Life.
goes through where it's like, yeah, like Half-Life. It's like you get to a point where it's like, oh, it's been long enough to where the people that used to play them as kids want to now go buy them and experience that again. So there's that cycle, and maybe we're just hitting that with the original Xbox, and in a year or two it'll die off. But I don't know, because especially when I started getting into
It's
it, the Super Nintendo was like, holy hell. And the N64, but mostly Super Nintendo was really rising in price. That's been slowly declining, and the N64 was on the rise. So I'm wondering if we're just starting to get to the sixth gen, which I guess now that it's 2020, that was 20 years ago. So I guess it is. That's about that time.
how's the Commodore 64?
Ooh, fuck, I don't know actually.
No
That's
one
that's
cares.
that's too far back for what I
What
collect, but
exactly? You were
yep.
saying exactly the right thing because that's what it is. It's like, it's the what is your generation you grew up in and when do you have money?
Yeah, definitely. So
So,
yeah, I guess my generation, because I'm a sixth gen gamer,
and you
I
have money
now
now.
I now have money. I started collecting earlier than others, but yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And the Super Nintendo, so I started collecting in 2015, so that's a 5 year offset, which 95. Yeah, okay. We're just in
Yeah.
the fuck. Of course, my Xbox had to die now, and my GameCube died. It's just it has been a good week for my retro adventures.
And that it's also before you move too many times and you realize that you don't want stuff because then that's probably when it starts to go down in price.
Oh, that yeah, that is
Oh,
definitely
no,
when
no,
it'll
no,
go
sorry,
down.
sorry. When you get married, you have to get rid of all your shit, and so there's that whole cycle, and then
Oh
that
God.
all that generation gets married, and their wives force them to purge.
True. Oh man, I'm gonna be sitting there.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
gonna.
That's the
I'm gonna.
time to get it.
I'm gonna be sitting there, hopefully married with someone who doesn't make me do that, and then I'll just sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, fuck all you guys. I'm gonna be there at your fucking garages. I'll be there 9 a.m. waiting for those
No.
collections to go on sale for $5 because your wife's not telling you you're going on sale. She has no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
And I
she just
find that copy of Earthbound for $2.
because
Perfect
that
condition.
old gaming room is now the baby's room.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, what, we got anything else?
We got like what, a couple minutes left.
I can talk about something there.
Sure, go
So
for it.
Call of Duty Zombies is free.
It is. I
This
haven't played it
which
yet.
is amazing game, right? Like actually probably one of the best zombie games that I've played up to this
Wow.
point.
When's the last time you played a Call of Duty Zombies?
I didn't play the last one, but I played the one before that,
Okay.
and I played the third one or something like that. I don't know. I can't really reference what game the zombies go to, but I know they're all Black Ops, but I don't know. It's hard
Yeah,
to.
there's World at War, and then there was Black Ops, Black Ops 2, Black Ops. Yeah, just any of
I
the
played
Black Ops.
Black Ops 2. I don't think I played World at War, Zombies. I played enough. I played a couple of zombies
Yeah.
here and there. But no, no. What's amazing though, and this almost frustrated all the other people that I was playing with to the point where they didn't want to play. It's impossible to get the game started. Amazing game, but the challenge for the starting UI is ridiculous. Like just like really weird stuff. So you can't join in a party inside of zombies. You have to go out of the zombies into the main menu where you select between zombies
Fucking
and the regular
goddamn it.
regular one in order to join up into a party there, and then you can go into the game and it'll bring you two along. There are two different places in the options where you have to make sure that you are playing with only 2 players. So there's this thing where like you can choose your party size, and it's in social or whatever, and you can change the party size. You can change, like how you want people to be invited, if it's invite only or public. Change all these options, right? Well, none of those matter. They're useless. You actually, when you're selecting the game type, you have to press right bumper to go over, and there's a private version of that game type. So I don't know. That took us forever to figure out. And then there's all this stuff with security because we're doing crossplay, where oh, what is it? It's your oh, I hate acronyms, man. This is gonna kill me again.
Nat type.
Yeah, yes, nat type.
Fuck Nat, man.
The
That's a
nat type.
fucking.
So where I'm open, it's good, and then he's like something else, and I'm like
strict. Yep.
yes, strict.
Dude, I've been fighting that battle for fucking ages with console gaming. I don't fucking get why consoles have NAT problems. It drives me up the wall. I've solved it on my end because I've learned a lot with router stuff to solve.
Does it switch back? Because his switched back.
Oh yeah, it varies. It just depends on what the fuck's going on. There's a way to reduce it and make sure it's always open, which is port forwarding. And
that's what he did. He forwarded. But
exactly.
Does the port forwarding stop? Because
no.
He port forwarded and then yeah, it went back. Like his NAT changed back to strict.
Yeah, it's not a guaranteed solution, and we're almost out of time. But the 3 things I do to avoid NAT problems, and I haven't had any NAT problems since then, which is static IP addresses on your console, port forwarding for games, and universal plug and play, which is a setting that most routers have on by default. It's called UPnP. And so you're fine. You want that on. And some games require, like Destiny, you can never connect to a game. It's so annoying unless you have UPnP on. But those 3 things usually will solve it. If not, I don't know. I'm not a fucking wizard.
Oh yeah. So like there was that, and then also we got other people that they were half downloading the game, and then they couldn't. Then their social little section wasn't there, and just a bunch of just to get it started. But then the game's amazing, right? It's like they're like, oh well, the game's amazing, so screw you guys.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to try it. I'll try it this week at some point.
All right. Well, we hit the 9 o'clock hour, so that's it for this week, and we will see you.